I'm the marketing manager at the Western Australian Academy of Performing Arts. I've been in this role since 2007. WAAP's marketing office is located in the broom cupboard under the stairs, otherwise known as the back of the box office. So anyone that's ever bought a physical hard copy ticket for a show or trying to locate their misplaced laptop or belongings would have at some stage come to the box office. When I was moving back to Australia after living in the UK for 6 years, moved back in 2003, and on the way back to Australia we stopped off in America and we visited my brother-in-law in Manhattan, and he bought us tickets to see my very first musical. It was The Boy from Oz, starring Hugh Jackman, and it was brilliant and I loved it and I fell in love with music theatre. And then fast forward to 2014 and the launch of the Jackman Finesse Foundation for the Performing Arts. I got to meet Hugh Jackman, and he really is so deserving, I feel, of his reputation, because he just made time for everyone here. He had like a 24-hour break in filming, I think, for one of the standalone Wolverine film, and so he was in the region. So this incredibly tight schedule at the peak of his powers, and he set aside time to set up to come here and do an official launch of this philanthropic organisation. And he was on this really, really strict diet for his Wolverine role, which was, I remember, it was 2 pan-fried salmon fillets on a bed of kale and broccolini. And for some reason, something had happened in the line of communication and that wasn't available. And luckily my friend Rovi, who's a really amazing chef and was just down the road in Mount Lawley, I was like, any chance you can whip this up? So he whipped it up, he got it here, and he was so grateful for that. And it was like one of those little what do we call it in the biz? There's a lot of crisis management, isn't there? That was me doing my little problem solving there. I was happy to contribute to that one as well. And obviously get to meet Hugh Jackman.
It is Lucky Friday.
We are master's students from the WA Screen Academy at Edith Cowan University, and we're here in LA because our documentary has been nominated for a Hugo Student BAFTA Award.
It was just a fast-track learning roller coaster where, went in knowing a bit, but not really a lot in terms of filmmaking, and came out just with a massive tool belt that I could take out into the industry. Another thing I'll never forget is waking up one Saturday morning, and I didn't even know this, but the wonderful teachers of WA Screen Academy had submitted Walk, Run, Strive to the Student BAFTA Awards. And I woke up to this email saying we had been selected as one of the top 3 student documentaries in the world, and that we were going to be flown to Hollywood to celebrate the Student BAFTA Awards. We just had the most extraordinary time. We didn't win the final award, but still, every time I tell people that I'm a BAFTA nominee, or we're BAFTA nominees, I get a little giggle, and I can't really take myself seriously. So that would be my most memorable moment there, I think.
So over 22 years, I've seen a fair bit of the real estate on this campus. I've never been bored in one day across those 22 years, so it's really been a great place to work, and I'm always stimulated. I feel very lucky. When students are learning how to paint, often we will start an exercise in painting where they only use shades of grey to put in an underpainting. So we remove colour so that they can focus on tonal values, black and white, greys, etc. Anyway, one time in that old painting studio, we had set up and they had all started painting in these grey underpaintings, and there's a French term for it called grisaille, which basically translates as greyish tones. On this day, up in the ceiling above the easels was this plaintive little meow, meow. I knew there was a sort of a problem with cats in building 5 and 4, and having kittens, and I tried to ignore it, but at a certain point a student said, no, we can't work with that sound, like we've got to do something. And we had a big, tall A-frame ladder. Then for this student to climb up this very tall ladder, starting to remove the ceiling panels, and all of a sudden she said, I've got it. And when she brought the little kitten down from this cavity, it was grey. And the student who said she would take the kitten home was given this tiny little kitten. She said, I'm going to call it Grisay.
I'm queer and I was raised Mormon, so it took me a while to accept that, embrace that and celebrate it. It was great that we could just be fruity together at uni and fool around, feel that safety to just be ourselves and be, rainbows everywhere. It helped me be able to focus on the learning as well. I wasn't on edge like I would have otherwise been. In my role as a student wellbeing officer in particular now, it's so important to me that the students feel safe and welcome and that there's not going to be any judgment there. It's been one of the most important things to me to make sure that they first and foremost understand that stepping into my office, it is a safe place, because it's something as simple as, being myself and being unapologetically myself, which thanks in part to ECU, which sounds so daggy, I was able to lean into it and realise that could be a good thing. Being unapologetic myself has continued to have a really positive influence on a lot of kids, and that's something I'm really proud of. So, yeah.
Get her! There's something I want you to know.
What?
I did the acting course here 25 years ago. I started as a first year student. And this is a full circle kind of story, because the studio that I first entered when I came on campus was the studio RS1, which stands for Rehearsal Studio 1. And that room has extra significance for me because when I was wanting to get into WAPA and audition, that was the very first studio that I went into. And I was fortunate enough to get into the course, which was my heart's desire. That was my passion. I couldn't believe that I'd gotten in. I had so many significant moments as a student working in that room. Anyway, cut to last year, 24 years later. I am employed as a full-time staff member in what we now call the BA acting course. And my very first job was to work with the first year students on their monologues that they used to get into WAPA. And it was very successful, and the first years were amazing. And I just had this moment when I ushered everybody out of RS1. I made sure that I was the last person to leave the room. And I held onto the door, and before I closed it, I looked around at that studio space and I said thank you. And I couldn't believe that here I was as a teacher, having the opportunity to share this same moment 24 years later from when I did it. It was really, really special and a very deep moment, and something that I'll always remember.